It's that time of year again. E3 is right around the corner and things are starting to get a little crazy. While the rumors haven't been as wild as they have been in previous years, we're still seeing some pretty strange ones. So we're here to talk about 10 E3 rumors that probably aren't happening. Keep in mind, of course, the fact that this is all speculation. But let's get started off with number 10. First of all, let's talk about this thing that a lot of people have actually asked me out on the street. People who don't follow game news too closely. And that's after that news that broke about that analyst predicting a PlayStation 5 releasing in 2018. That news got around and a lot of people are expecting this E3 to be some sort of big next PlayStation console reveal. But dear God, I hope you were not one of those people who would believe that. Look, that rumor aside, even if there is a PlayStation 5 releasing in 2018, don't expect anything from this E3. Expect Sony to focus completely 100% on their games. The last thing they need is another distraction to slow them down like the PS4 Pro. Will a PS5 actually exist in the near future, possibly to compete with the Xbox Scorpio? Well, we'll probably save that discussion for another video. But at number 9, speaking of Microsoft, let's talk about Scalebound. That big exclusive developed by Platinum that people were hoping for has seemingly been pretty much canceled. However, in the last week or so, I've seen a lot of excitement pop up with the speculation that Microsoft is actually going to turn things around and reveal Scalebound to be releasing after all. This is thanks to the news that's been floating around that Microsoft has actually renewed the trademark for Scalebound, which I wouldn't look into that. I wouldn't read into that. If you ask any other actual real analyst out there, they will say that that doesn't mean anything other than the fact that they probably still own the rights to the game and they're just holding on to the name and they're trying to control that property around it. That and the rumor floating around that didn't have much credence to it about Microsoft actually taking Scalebound over from Platinum and finishing it internally. It doesn't seem like that's the case. Sources have said that this game is outright 100% canceled, which is unfortunate, and you would think that Microsoft would want to recoup some of its investments, but I just wouldn't expect to hear anything about Scalebound from this E3. And at number 8, let's talk about Star Wars. First things first, you can absolutely expect EA to go full on and completely showing and revealing full gameplay for Battlefront 2. But of course, there's always the rumors floating around about a Knights of the Old Republic remake or a Knights of the Old Republic sequel, and also Visceral's new Star Wars game. And with the Visceral game in particular, I wouldn't expect to really see anything at E3 from that. Personally, I think EA wants to keep all the focus on Battlefront for now and not distract with other things. If we do get anything from Visceral's Star Wars game, it'll be a slight little tease or a quick clip in a reel like we got last year in 2016. As much as we want to see new Star Wars games announced, I wouldn't expect Disney to want them to be announced during all the E3 hype and possibly get lost in the fray. Expect more Star Wars games to get their own special reveals because Disney is such a big deal and they want their games to be such a big deal. But at number 7, another rumor that's been getting people pretty worked up. I've seen this thing crop up on Reddit and Twitter. It started when some guy said on Twitter, is it Square Enix announced that the Final Fantasy VII remake they've been working on will also be ported to Nintendo Switch. This rumor does seem to be realistic in the sense that Nintendo and Square Enix have recently had a much better relationship, with Square Enix announcing that they did want to work on more titles and more JRPGs for the Nintendo Switch in particular. But something like the Final Fantasy VII remake seems a little crazy and a bit unlikely. I mean, look at the game. From what we've seen so far, I don't know if they can cram a game like that on Nintendo Switch. Now, of course, this is a rumor that I would very, very much like to be wrong on. I would absolutely love to be surprised by that. But since the Final Fantasy VII remake is still a ways off, I just don't really see it happening, especially with the fact that this rumor came completely out of thin air. Not really any secret sources or any rumblings. It's just somebody tweeted it. But at number 6, let's acknowledge one that's very hard to talk about. I hate bringing it up because it disappoints and angers so many people, and that's the Elder Scrolls 6. Now, everybody talks about and really vies for the next Elder Scrolls game, but Bethesda has went on record consistently saying that they are not currently working on it. It is a project, but it's not really their current project. While yes, Bethesda is working on something and Todd Howard and his team have been hard at work, I would expect their new project that isn't Fallout or Elder Scrolls to be revealed first. But I could be wrong on this one, and like I said with previous rumors, I really wish I was wrong on this one. There have been some analysts who have said that this is going to be a thing, but with the amount of actual backpedaling Bethesda has done, which is a lot, and was very uncharacteristic of them, it really seems to me like they're trying to dodge and try to avoid any disappointment with Elder Scrolls 6 not being announced and not really being a thing yet. So that's just coming from me, dudes. I'm sorry, but I wouldn't get your hopes up yet. And at number 5, we have an E3 announcement that you should absolutely not expect, and that's Half-Life 3. Come on. I know it's not really a thing, but there's always one guy who comes up with some weird rumor or hoax or weird circumstance where it would make sense, and people love to jump on the conspiracy bandwagon. But dude, it's not happening. I'm sorry. Be sure to keep an eye out for stuff like this, because most recently there's been a little bit of news of actual Valve employees themselves kind of egging on the Half-Life 3 hoax. So for the love of God, please don't let your hype affect your judgment. And at number 4, a rumor that I've seen pop up here and there, I wouldn't expect it to be a reality. That is the Grand Theft Auto 5 single-player DLC stuff. There have been folks out there really hoping and really wishing, and some people even saying it's going to happen, that Rockstar is finally going to release that Grand Theft Auto 5 single-player DLC so many players have been wanting. But I really do think it's safe to say that that stuff is in the past. Rockstar's focus is clearly still on GTA Online because I guess it's making them a ton of money. And of course, Red Dead Redemption 2. And there are rumors, folks are saying that Sony is going to close out their PlayStation press conference with a gameplay reveal of Red Dead Redemption. Now, Rockstar isn't known to really show off and announce games at E3, but in the past they did reveal a trailer of PS4 and Xbox One versions of Grand Theft Auto 5. But Grand Theft Auto 5 DLC, I think it's extinct. And at number 3, I got another crazy one for you that people have been taking very seriously, and that is Resistance 4. Yeah, according to some Spanish language gaming sites, they've posted what looks to be some fake leaks suggesting that Insomniac is going to announce a Resistance 4 at the PlayStation conference. Now, Insomniac, I would like to think, is still hard at work on that Spider-Man game, and Resistance 4 seems a little far-fetched. First of all, because it's too far off. While the original Resistance games weren't so bad, they're just not in the cultural mindshare right now. Nobody really thinks back of or really remembers the last Resistance games, especially 3, and that is unfortunate, but I think that makes 4 not really make sense. If anything, if this does actually happen in some weird miracle, I think we would see a complete Resistance reboot with a new title just called Resistance or something. But Resistance 4, no way. And at number 2, let's acknowledge a vague, kind of broad rumor that a lot of people have been suggesting both for E3 2016 and now E3 2017, and that is Xbox announcing a VR headset to compete with Oculus Rift Vive and, of course, PlayStation VR, because that's what you would think, right? If PlayStation has a VR headset, why wouldn't Xbox have one? But it doesn't really exactly work like that. First things first, Microsoft and Xbox actually have a deal with Oculus Rift. It's kind of more of a behind-the-scenes thing and with support and stuff, but if there was anything, I would expect Microsoft to try and just get the Oculus Rift working on an Xbox One. Microsoft has shown first and foremost that they're more concerned about augmented reality, not necessarily virtual reality. Last year they showed off their HoloLens headset, which has a lot more than really just gaming applications, and I expect that to be a device that isn't really going to be the focus for gaming. Microsoft is of course now licensing third-party VR and AR headsets to work with their tech, but I'm sorry guys, I just don't really see this tying into Xbox anywhere, at least not yet. But at number 1, one of the craziest rumors I've seen probably in recent years, this is something that has popped up on Reddit, and that is the suggestion that PlayStation will announce a new portable. The successor to the Vita, quote-unquote the Vita 2, or somebody actually used and called it seriously the PSP 3, which I gotta say, I don't think that is likely at all, for a number of reasons, mostly because Sony somewhat kind of abandoned the Vita straight up, and you guys probably know that they have a history of not really supporting their other extra side stuff very well. I mean, look at PlayStation VR. While there's PlayStation VR games, it's not exactly getting big AAA support, is it? Also, for them to call it a PSP 3, that's like the funniest thing I've heard. But I just don't see it happening. There's been some rumors popping up, and there's been people showing things that look like a mobile version of a PlayStation 4. Maybe we could have some weird system, but I think it's really just people following the hype behind Nintendo Switch and thinking that Sony's in the game to really compete against that, and I'm not really convinced they are. I think if we saw absolutely anything mobile from PlayStation right now, it would be a device that better handles remote play for PlayStation 4 and is designed completely and solely around that. But a PlayStation Vita 2 or a PSP 3, I don't know about that, guys. But those are some E3 rumors that we think are not going to happen, but we want to hear from you guys down in the comments, especially for some other E3 videos we're going to be working on. What are your dream announcements for E3? What is the most surprising and most amazing thing you would love to see announced on a stage at E3? We want to hear from you guys down in the comments, and you should definitely keep your eye on the GameRanx channel. But if you enjoyed this video, clicking the like button helps us out a ton, and we really do appreciate it. But subscribing if you're new is a good idea too, because we put out stuff every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.